West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy with Chef Justice Putnam. Netrootsradio.com.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. À fleurs sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
This is what it looks like when you know you're about to cook an orange. And by the way, that first clip that I showed you, what was that? Vice President Kamala Harris just shredded Donald Trump last night in the debate. It was Donald Trump's worst nightmare on steroids in front of the entire nation, in front of the entire world. He got humiliated, and now the Democrats have officially raised over $1 billion with Vice President Kamala Harris at the lead of the Democratic ticket for the United States presidency. Billion with a B. Former President Barack Obama writes, "Tonight we saw firsthand who has the vision and strength to move this country forward. Instead of dividing us, Kamala Harris will be a president for all Americans. Let's get to work." According to a Washington Post focus group of swing state voters, get this, 92% say Kamala Harris performed better. I don't know who the two people were who said she didn't. I don't know what they were watching. And Donald Trump is in total denial that he lost the debate. Is this sweat? Is he melting? Watch for yourself what went down after the debate.
Are worried that, that you took the bait from Kamala Harris tonight. What would you say?
Great debate tonight. This was my best debate. We had a 92% rating in one poll. We had an 86% rating in another. We had 77% in another. We won every one of the polls that came out tonight, and there were quite a few of them.
You were asked if you would veto a national abortion ban, and you did not say yes or no. What is your answer to that?
So all you have to do is check it. It was a perfect answer on abortion, and I've done a great job in that, and I brought our country together. Thank you.
Yes or no? Will you?
Then Donald Trump was asked about his response to one of the debate questions about whether he would veto a national abortion ban. What's Donald Trump's response? He just walks away. Play this clip.
You were asked if you would veto a national abortion ban, and you did not say yes or no. What is your answer to that?
So all you have to do is check it. It was a perfect answer on abortion, and I've done a great job in that, and I brought our country together. Thank you.
Yes or no? Will you?
As George Conway says, this was the exact time of death when Vice President Kamala Harris started mocking Donald Trump for his crowd sizes. He lost it and then got all unhinged after that. Play this clip.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
As Donald Trump is trying to cope with his defeat, one of the things that he's been saying is, he goes, the polls claim 90%, 60%, 72% say that I actually won. You heard him say that before. The polls in question are like right-wing Twitter polls from like the Daily Caller and other right-wing websites. Hugo Lowell from The Guardian reports, Trump doesn't commit to a second debate against Harris when pressed by Hannity on Fox News. Well, I don't know. I have to think about it. But if you won the debate, I sort of think maybe I shouldn't do it. Why should I do another debate? Here, Donald Trump claims to Hannity after the debate that it was his best debate ever. But as Aaron Rupert says, his heart doesn't really seem into this. Here, play this clip.
Did you have fun?
I had a good time. I think it was our best debate ever. I thought it was really good. We had 3 against 1, but I anticipated.
Let's talk about that. 3 against 1, and all of her radical positions they leave on the table.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of negative kind of stuff. Look, I saw on your show last night, they had 100% positive coverage on ABC, and I had 94% negative coverage.
93% negative.
I exaggerate.
You got an extra percent non-negative.
And then Donald Trump continued to make post after post on his social media platform saying, I thought that was my best debate ever, especially since it was a 3-on-1. And that's what they started going with in MAGA world. But take a look right here at Matt Gaetz and Stephen Miller, who helped prepare Donald Trump. Look how defeated they look here. Sean Hannity has his MAGA bro club of Tim Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy and Lindsey Graham, and they're all like, this was 3-on-1. This was so unfair. Here, play this clip.
How do you not ask that question?
100%.
How do you not ask it?
We need moderators that are not an extension of the Kamala Harris for president campaign.
By the way, in one of the strangest moments of the debate, Donald Trump managed to give the answer that his campaign probably advised him not to do. Watch this.
And Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm asking.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her.
How else is Donald Trump coping? Well, his surrogates like Laura Loomer, by the way, was with Donald Trump during debate prep. She was with him on his plane when he landed. She was with him every step of the way. Here's what the MAGAs are saying. Interesting choice of earrings tonight, Kamala Harris. They're saying that Donald Trump lost so badly. This is what the MAGAs are saying, because Vice President Kamala Harris was using an earpiece. Again, as we said on the Midas Touch account, these are truly the weirdest and most pathetic people to ever walk this earth. If they had any ability to feel shame, they would hide in humiliation the rest of their sad and depressing lives. In contrast to what we showed you Donald Trump saying after the debate, Vice President Kamala Harris addressed a crowd in Pennsylvania, and here's what she had to say. Play the clip.
And so we've got some work to do, because listen, I think that we think today was a good day, and it kind of was. But we have 56 days to go, and guys, we're still the underdogs in this race. It's tight. We have got to win Pennsylvania. And we are going to win Pennsylvania. And it is because of you. It is because of you who have signed up, who have volunteered. You are organizing. You're helping us to email and text and knock on doors and talk to your neighbors and your friends. And here's the thing about the spirit of our campaign. It is people-driven. It is about the people. It is about uplifting our country. This is a campaign born out of love of country. We love our country. We believe in who we are. We believe in the American people. This is a campaign about bringing folks together, knowing the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. It is about inclusion, and it is not about division, and it is not about demeaning and name calling. It is about lifting folks up, working folks, families, children, people who are not just trying to get by, but trying to get ahead. That's what we stand for. So let's get out here for these next 56 days. Hard work is good work, and we will win. We will win.
Former Governor Chris Christie used to be a Donald Trump ally, now a big critic of Donald Trump, and has joined the pro-democracy community. Here, Chris Christie criticizes Donald Trump and those who prepared him. Play this clip.
Constitution Center in Philadelphia, and with Chris Christie. So, Governor Christie, you heard the debate, remarkable debate. Bottom line, what'd you think?
She was exquisitely well prepared. She laid traps, and he chased every rabbit down every hole instead of talking about the things that he should have been talking about. This is the difference between someone who's well prepared and someone who's unprepared. Whoever did debate prep for Donald Trump should be fired. He was not good tonight at all. And what Harris did was what she had to do, which was to prove that she belonged on that stage. She has a voice that wants to try to unite the country. And Donald Trump spent more time talking about people eating pets, people at his rallies, and whether he had more or less than he did about the economy. And that is a huge fail tonight. I think what we're going to see is that Kamala Harris is now being seen by a lot of voters as a potential president. That's what she needed to accomplish tonight. Trump better get to work or he's going to lose this election.
Characteristically blunt assessment.
More coping from Donald Trump after the debate. Let's play this clip.
It destroyed our country, so I hope you're all having a good time. And it was a very interesting...
Did she get under your skin, sir?
Did you hear what he said there? He goes, they destroyed our country, so I hope you're having a good time. There's more devastating news for Donald Trump last night as well. Taylor Swift came out with a very strong endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris, and one of the things that she said was so important for her to be transparent that she was supporting Vice President Kamala Harris was the fact that Donald Trump was using AI images of her and her fans to falsely claim an endorsement. She said this is a major problem. She, of course, also mentioned that Donald Trump is a major threat to women's reproductive rights, and she praised Governor Walz for being a positive force to help the LGBTQ plus community. Right here is Governor Walz responding to the endorsement by Taylor Swift. Play the clip.
I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. I've done my research and I've made my choice. Your research is all yours to do, and the choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially to first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I will link where to register and find early voting dates and info in my story. With love and hope, Taylor Swift, signed Childless Cat Lady. I have to get your response to that, Mr. Governor.
All those things, I am incredibly grateful, first of all, to Taylor Swift. I say that also as a cat owner, a fellow cat owner. Look, Swifties, you heard it. We know that it's there. That was eloquent, and it was clear. And that's the type of courage we need in America to stand up. We've seen it out of those Republicans who were at the DNC. We've seen it out of women who would like to have their own personal lives kept personal, but are forced to go out there because they nearly died because they can't get abortion services in a pregnancy. And now you have somebody like Taylor Swift coming out, making that very clear. This would be the opportunity, Swifties. KamalaHarris.com. Get on over there. Give us a hand. Get things going.
Let me show you right here is a former Trump voter saying why she will never vote for Trump again after watching that debate.
But it also sounds like this debate cemented for you that you will never vote for former President Trump, at least again. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people want to separate policy from character, and I just don't see how you can do that. I can't get behind somebody who maybe I agree with certain policies on, but their character is atrocious and lacks complete leadership.
And here is the CNN fact check. I think they did a pretty decent job with this one. Play the clip.
CNN senior reporter Daniel Dale was listening closely to both candidates. Daniel, what stood out to you?
Jake, what stood out was that this was a staggeringly dishonest debate performance from former President Trump. Just lie after lie on subject after subject. By my preliminary count, Jake, Trump made at least 33 false claims. 33. By contrast, by, again, a preliminary count, Vice President Harris made at least one false claim, though she added at least a few misleading claims and a few more.
According to the CNN flash poll afterwards, 63% said that Vice President Kamala Harris won. 37% of viewers said that Donald Trump won. Tim Miller says he spoke with Lindsey Graham in the spin room, and he said the debate team should be fired, and Trump was unprepared, and Trump was a total disaster. And here, by the way, is Britt Hume of Fox. Let's see what he has to say. Play this clip.
Now, look, make no mistake about it. Trump had a bad night. He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. In the first debate when Biden attacked him, he just kept his cool and kept going. In this debate, he rose to debating, and we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically. And there they all were, talking about how he didn't lose the election and all that. I mean, my sense is that she came out of this in pretty good shape. Now, how long this will last and is anybody's guess. But for tonight, at least, this was pretty much her night.
You're saying she had a good night?
I'm saying she certainly did.
It is Wednesday, the 11th of September of 2024, and you are in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. I am your chef de cuisine, Justice Putnam. Gunner the English Bulldog is our snoozing sous chef, and we will be seating you directly for our especially special, daily special, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. Will no one rid us of these meddlesome priests? No one. Well, let us, of course, this being a day that has lived in infamy, and it's amazing how much time has passed and how many people have no visceral recollection of that ominous day. So I do want to give a solemn nod, but wouldn't it be nice if the perps who perpetuated that crime, that act of terror, that act of war, were truly brought to heel and held to account? Okay. And we know who that is. It's the Bonesaw Kingdom. But I guess, I don't know, we got some sort of oil deal with them, so that supersedes even bringing down the World Trade Center and killing all those people flying jets into the Pentagon. If that's not a reason to get some other energy source than reliance upon people who would do that, I don't know what is, and apparently no one else can figure it out because we have. But it means too much to them to sell out America. Boy, they sure do it at a drop of a ruble, a real, even $0.25. Thanks for the tip. Okay. Gratuities. All right. Well, that brings us to the debate. All of the malfeasance of the Republican Party over all these many, many decades was personified in whatever it was that they put up there as their stalwart to lead them to the promised land. Jesus Christ. What the hell? I mean, even poor Britt Hume there at the end of that clip on the Midas Touch guys. He sounded he was so depressed. Oh, well, I guess it was her night. Oh. Yeah, Britt. No shit, Sherlock. And MAGA, by turns, has gone a little quiet this morning. Usually they're out there trying to poke you in the eye. But we've been kind of poking them in the eye, and they don't like it. They don't like it one bit. Oh my God, they are such whiners. After a MAGA had just loaded both barrels of, I'm just going to say it, okay? I know it's early in the morning. Now, you know what? I'm not going to. I'm just going to give the abbreviation. You'll know. I just won't include the CK part, okay? But right after I'd already been called a mother effer, a mother effing commie, you know, et cetera, you know. I simply said, wow, that's weird. So, who got accused of name calling? You are always name calling. Oh, wait a second. I called you guys snowflakes. Or I've said that, yeah, okay, I called you a snowflake. I'm sorry. But I didn't call you weird. I just said that all this is weird. And before I even brought up the fact that I didn't call them weird, I said it was weird. Other people had already said that to them, responded very quickly. So, and then another person said, don't listen to him. He doesn't have an audience. After people, about 10 people came and said, he didn't say you were weird. He said it is weird. And this is the person who can't figure out the difference between you're and you are. Telling me that they have basically no critical thinking or reading skills. They're missing something there, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they need corrective lenses. I don't know. Maybe the sugar in their cereal growing up has damaged whatever, I don't know, what brains they have left. I am so tired of these, I don't know what to call them, other than MAGA. And I'll just leave the hyphenated rejoinder up to you. Yes, the audience to fill in the blank. MAGA hyphen dimwit, etc. You know what I mean. All you can call them is just MAGA. That says it all. Yeah. I got a dog and cat mixed grill for you. Yo, really? Oh, you're so sick. We had a little tete-a-tete in the lead up to the debate, in which, of course, I made mention that the lady that had her son selling lemonade, and I mean, we all support kids in the town. You got a lemonade stand, we're going to come by and pay you some money for your lemonade, and sometimes more. Here, take $10 for this 50 cents worth of lemonade, even at retail. Okay, I'm just saying, we do that sort of thing. And, even though she had Trump signs on her fence, did it anyway. Buying the kids' lemonade is no endorsement of your candidate, okay? I hope that's clear. I don't know, maybe MAGA, for all their complaints about, you are always dividing our country. Oh, yeah, we're trying to integrate. Yeah, you're dividing us. So she had some signs, or she had a lawn sign pulled out, on a stake, pulled out of the yard, and actually put back. She claims that the sign is missing. The sign, in even her Ring camera picture, showed that the sign was still attached. However, she says, they came back and got it. I don't know. MAGA lies so much. I think she saw the Ring camera, wanted to make the evidence a little bit better, because that's what corrupt cops do too. And hey, corruption is part of the DNA. Shall I make sweeping statements? Yes, I will. At least I'm aware of it. So people are still whining. They want to get a vigilante squad to go after these kids for stealing a Trump sign. All right. I did make mention in that particular thread that when the gay couple at the end of my cul-de-sac had their house tagged with "fucking faggot, get out of our town," they had a Ring camera of all of that, and the cops said, we just can't do anything. It's too blurry. We can't. There's nowhere to go with this. We just can't do a thing. And people on the town Facebook page actually defended the people saying, "Fuck you, faggot, get out of our town," as some sort of First Amendment right to go on someone's property, right? While at the same time, some kids took a sign and said, and their friend said, "You know what, you can't do that, put it back." And they put it back. All right. Do you see where we're going with this? So, of course, we get all this, "Oh, if it was you liberals, this is what you would do." Well, actually, I was one of the first that made mention of the fact that stealing a yard sign, defacing a yard sign, political yard signs is a misdemeanor in this state and every state on the West Coast and most states in the United States. I am sorry that people didn't take civics classes and they have no idea. They're saying, "Well, that should be a crime." Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, it already is. If I was the cops, I'd say, "You know what, the kid put it back, no big deal." A little bit different than telling the gay couple, "Oh, well, we can't do anything. You're going to have to learn to live with it." And they have. But they have neighbors too, so they're two-way street, pals. So, in light of that tete-a-tete, there has also been, and this is where you get into the little next door stuff, and you got to be a little careful. But there's been a water scofflaw who has been hooking up his water lines to fill up his pool, water tanks for his trailer, right, out of a hydrant, which is patently illegal and unsafe because backflow causes bacteria, and then they got to treat it more for our water, which, no one likes the taste of chlorine, and it's not really that good for you either. Anyway, you got to let it sit for a while. Let it gas off. So, in spite of the fact that there's been pictures taken of the fellow doing this, and the city newsletter, every time you get your water and sewage bill, or your water and sewer bill, there's always in the newsletter about don't hook up to fire hydrants. If you see any of this stuff, report it. And every time apparently this guy's been reported, nothing is done. And there was some question, well, if he's on the river, then that means he's like in another county or town. Well, he's on this side of the river. He's actually part of the Rogue River City. So I just made mention that, people wanted to send vigilante squads out for, some kids who stole a Trump sign and put it back. You would think that causing our water supply to be infected with bacteria would warrant maybe a little bit more of a response. And oh my God, you wouldn't have believed the whining. Why do you make it so political? What? We were just talking for the last 3 days about some kids who stole a Trump sign and put it back as the biggest crime that could ever be committed in this town after we've had a MAGA Nazi tree trimmer going onto people's property, flying rainbow flags saying you can't do that. We're in a conservative town, and that effort got worldwide news coverage, made our little town so popular around the world because of it. And who gets blamed? The people who were the property owners. They brought it on themselves. Oh my God. Well, you know what? People are fed up here in town, and they're speaking up, and they can't stand it. It's the same old saw as we've had before. Politics is fine, but as soon as we speak up, "Oh, you're just so, why do you do what you do? You're so divisive." Damn right, pal. I'm not going to let you walk all over our country because of your ignorance. And let's be clear, your aggressive behavior. Ignorance begats arrogance. Arrogance may begat ignorance as well. Okay? So that's why I try to be, a little careful. All right? Some might perceive me as arrogant. And I don't know, maybe they're right, but I really try not to be ignorant. I really do. And if it makes me weak to admit a mistake, so be it. I'm an American. We confess our sins, and we would like to have maybe, I don't know, a rebirth. A second act. All right. Well, we're not going back. We're not going back to what was yesterday, the anniversary of 1963, on that day in which white kids in, I believe, Alabama left their high school because they didn't want it to be integrated. Oh, we are so divisive, aren't we? Integration, by its very definition, means bring together. Segregation, by its very definition in the dictionary, means separate. Don't tell me who is being divisive in our United States of America. United States of America. I will not cede any patriotism, what it means to be an American. However, two-dimensional and cartoon like it is, I like Uncle Sam. I like it when he rolls up his sleeves and gets to work, instead of sitting on their fat ass whining because people are getting something and I'm not. Look how hard I'm working. I'm bending my elbow. It's so hard. F you, pals and gals. All right. So, we have gone on so long, I guess maybe half the show. Why don't we give you a quick rundown on what we're going to have to apparently quickly get through, and we will. All right, we'll give you, but you always have access to the full articles by the actual reporters, and I'll give you a quick information about that in just a moment. But on the rest of the menu here, because we already spoke so highly about the Midas Touch clip at the top, on the rest of the menu, in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, in an effort to keep the rabid Trump-endorsed state election board at bay, Georgia's Fulton County has hired a team of independent monitors to observe its operations for this year's general election. You know, sometimes I make these too wordy the night before. I should do a little bit more editing. I am so sorry. We're just going to have to keep it the way it is. We'll do it better next time. All righty. Continuing, a MAGA judge ruled a New Jersey man with no ties to the state of Alaska and who is serving a 20-year sentence in a New York prison can remain on Alaska's ranked choice general election ballot to kick the libs. They care so much for our institutions, don't they? They're so unifying. And the WNBA Players and Union roundly criticized Commissioner Kathy Engelbert after she failed to condemn fan racism. After the break, we move to the chef's table, where an ex-CIA officer who spied for China faces a decade of prison time and a lifetime of polygraph tests. And both Google and Apple lost their court fights against the EU and owe tens of billions in fines and taxes. All that and more on West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit. Follow me on social media at Justice Putnam, and you'll have quick access to the show notes and links diaries that I post on Daily Co's 10 minutes before showtime, so you have quick access to the full reportage by the actual reporters. So do follow me at Justice Putnam on social media for those show notes and links diaries. Do it. All right, this first offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Smothered Benedict Wednesdays, by the way, is by Kate Brumback out of the Associated Press. Georgia's Fulton County has hired a team of independent monitors to observe its operations for this year's general election after a selection process that highlighted discord between the deeply Democratic county and a Trump-endorsed majority on the state election board. Includes some election deniers, let's be clear about that. The monitoring of Fulton's elections was proposed by the state election board members earlier this year, as they discussed a case against the county that included findings of double scanning of some ballots during an election recount in 2020 that was closed with a reprimand. The county ultimately chose a monitoring proposal opposed by the Republican parties, or Republican partisans, who have a 3-2 majority on the state election board. The county was within its rights to do that, according to a legal opinion written by State Attorney General Chris Carr. Carr wrote that the state election board does not have the authority to order an election monitor, and that Fulton's agreement to propose and pay for a monitoring team was voluntary. Carr's opinion, dated on August 19th, cautioned that if the state board failed to approve the monitoring team Fulton had chosen, or if the board tried to reopen the 2020 investigation, he wrote, it appears highly likely that no monitoring team will be engaged. Despite Carr's prediction, county commissioners voted 5-2 last week, or 5-2 last week, to approve a almost $100,000 contract proposal for Ryan Germany, a former chief lawyer for the Secretary of State's office. The county's Board of Registration and Elections had already signed off on the proposal in July, and last month voted to reaffirm its approval. Fulton is the state's most populous county and includes most of the city of Atlanta. It has drawn national security over the years for problems with its elections, including long lines and slow reporting of results. What doesn't get reported is that the Republicans in Georgia have made it that way. Associated Press brings us this next offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. A man who is serving a 20-year prison sentence can remain on Alaska's ranked choice general election ballot in the race for the state's only U.S. House seat, a judge ruled on Tuesday. A MAGA judge. They won't say that, but I did a little research, and yes, she's a MAGA judge. Or he is a MAGA judge, excuse me. State Superior Court Judge Ian Wheels in Anchorage rejected a request by the Alaska Democratic Party to remove Eric Hafner from the November ballot. Hafner, who has no ties to Alaska, pleaded guilty in 2022 to charges of making threats against police officers, judges, and others in New Jersey. He is running as a Democrat in a closely watched race headlined by Democratic U.S. Representative Mary Peltola and Republican Nick Begich. Attorneys for the Alaska Democratic Party said state election officials erred in placing Hafner on the ballot. You mean Republican state election officials? And that he did not meet the requirements to serve in Congress. They also said his being on the ballot would complicate the party's efforts to get Peltola reelected. Oh, well, now we know why he's still on there. They continue. It will confuse voters by presenting them with a candidate, putatively a Democrat, who plaintiffs do not support and who would not be entitled to serve if elected. Well, they said that in a court filing, and the judge said, Alaska has an open primary system which allows the top 4 vote getters, regardless of party, to advance to the ranked vote general election. Hafner originally finished 6th in the primary with just 467 votes, but was placed on the general election ballot after 2 Republicans, Lieutenant Governor Nancy Dahlstrom and Matthew Salisbury, who placed 3rd and 4th respectively, withdrew. Peltola, Begich, and Dahlstrom were the most prominent candidates in the race, receiving a combined total of 97.4% of the vote. Begich, who supports the effort to repeal Alaska's open primary and ranked vote general election, had urged conservatives to unite to give them the best chance at beating Peltola in November. Well, now Hafner's declaration of candidacy, filed with the State Division of Election, lists a federal prison in New York as his current address. Doug Feinberg at the Associated Press brings us this final offering here in the Bistro Cafe part of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. WNBA players and their union spoke out against Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's recent comments on a TV show that failed to condemn racist and bitter criticism from fans toward the Caitlin Clark-Angel Reese rivalry. Engelbert made an appearance on CNBC's Power Lunch and was asked by anchor Tyler Matheson about what he called the darker tone taken by fan bases on social media that brings race and sometimes sexuality into the conversation. Engelbert responded by saying, "There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little of that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979, when those 2 rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these 2. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another." Oh, really? Well, Executive Director Terry Jackson of the WNBPA issued a statement yesterday, Tuesday, disagreeing with Engelbert's comments. Here is the answer that the commissioner should have provided to the very clear question about racism, misogyny, and harassment experienced by the players. There is absolutely no place in sport or in life for the vile hate, racist language, homophobic comments, and misogynistic attacks our players are facing on social media, the statement said. The statement went on to say that fandom should lift up the game, not tear down the very people who bring it to life. All right, let us now get to our break, and when we get back from that break, we will go through weather from around the world, and we will finish up with the stories that we have curated for you today. You are listening to West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, and we will be right back.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Mike Friend. This week, TV's everywhere. The long-awaited and delayed adaptation of Colleen Hoover's 2016 novel It Ends With Us is out. The pandemic, Hollywood strikes, and disputes between director, co-star Jason Baldini, and producer and co-star Blake Lively led to the delays for the project, which was birthed in 2019 when Baldini optioned the adaptation. The final cut of the picture is reportedly one commissioned by Lively. As news of problems on the set started to leak, Baldini hired a PR crisis manager. So what's the result? Well, it's a film that fans of the novel, and more broadly those looking for a sensitive and real-world depiction of domestic violence, are finding satisfying. A certain review aggregator is finding well over 90% positive viewer response. That isn't stopping reviewers from finding fault, of course. The setting's Boston, a huge city, and the number of coincidental relationships that make the plot work seem a tad contrived from the get-go. But that's forgivable if other things work, and they usually do, at least to the extent that you're kept engaged by, say, the roots of Baldini's character Kyle's rage, or whether Lively's Lily has seen it all before. The character who represents Lily's alternative experience, Atlas, Brandon Sklar, seems a bit of a foil. The dialogue, with one important scene reportedly written by Lively's real-life husband Ryan Reynolds, is uneven, but does have its moments. This one has the look and feel of a rom-com. The characters are stylish, poverty's not one of their problems, and then there's the soundtrack, all of which either say, yeah, DV happens here too, or is just inappropriate. The conclusion's a cut above a Lifetime series, showing some reflection and self-awareness, but leaves you wondering if it really ends with us. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Mike Friend. Catch up with us at take2moviereview.com and feed us back on our channel on YouTube.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. After ordering controversial searches of homes of Latinx democracy advocates in August, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton sued 2 counties in early September for attempting to register citizens to vote prior to the 2024 election. The Texas Tribune reports that last week, AG Paxton sued 2 liberal-leaning Texas counties encompassing the cities of Austin and San Antonio for a proposed mailing of voter registration forms to unregistered voters. Bexar and Travis County commissioners voted to approve the distribution despite threats by Paxton. Paxton said in a statement, quote, "It is unlawful and reckless for counties to use taxpayer dollars to indiscriminately send voter registration forms with no consideration of the recipient's eligibility or without statutory authority to do so," unquote. Texas law does not expressly prohibit distribution of voter registration forms, only applications for voting by mail. A Texas driver's license or other approved identification is required when registering, and a voter registration certificate or approved ID when voting. A Travis County spokesperson told the Texas Tribune, "It is disappointing that any statewide elected official would prefer to sow distrust and discourage participation in the electoral process." We've linked to the Texas Tribune's great reporting at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 2001. We pause to remember those who died in the 9/11 attacks. Of those killed, nearly a quarter were union people. Hundreds of firefighters were lost, dozens of building tradespeople, and many other unions lost members as well, including the AFT, SEIU, Unite Here, CWA, and AFSCME. Those lost that day will remain firmly forever in our memories. What is less well known is the number of those first responders who are suffering from chronic and fatal diseases related to 9/11 or those who have already died. It is estimated that over 400,000 people were exposed to World Trade Center contaminants. These include more than 70 carcinogens and other hazardous substances. Of those exposed, over 91,000 were first responders. As of June 2017, over 67,000 first responders and over 12,000 survivors had registered in the World Trade Center Health Program run by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The program provides medical monitoring, health evaluations, and treatment for those who qualify. Of those registered responders still alive, more than 45,000 suffer from certified conditions as defined by the Zadroga Act of 2010. And for registered survivors, nearly 10,000 suffer from certified conditions. Close to 700 registered first responders have already died from certified conditions. However, this number is considered a low estimate given that there were many who died before the program was established. There are also a number of illnesses believed related to the attacks but not yet certified. If you are a survivor or were a 9/11 first responder and would like to enroll in the World Trade Center Health Program, please visit cdc.gov/WTC or call toll-free 1-888-982-4748.
Thank you for accompanying us here to the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. We always begin, whether from around the world, along the banks of the Rogue River in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon, on the west coast of the continental United States of America, where it is currently 55 degrees Fahrenheit under cloudy conditions, much cooler expected today with highs around a 70, a little above that possibly, with some rain early, which we've had a smattering of early, then remaining cloudy with showers in the afternoon, winds out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Should be getting, with the showers that should be coming soon, about a quarter of an inch. We'll see if that pans out. Ragweed pollen is rated moderate in the town of Rogue River. The air quality index for the region is in the good range at 22 parts per million. And that daytime UV index is moderate at level 5. I would probably still take a little care. Cover up. Barometric pressure is falling at 29.83 inches. Visibility is at 8 miles. And relative humidity is at 82%. Weather from around the world is brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world, and that is the Weather Underground. London is 58 degrees with copious amounts of rain. Paris is 60 degrees with copious amounts of rain showers in the vicinity. Rome is 81 and fair with a thunderstorm advisory. Kabul is 71 and clear. Hong Kong is 85 and partly cloudy. Tokyo is 83 and fair. Auckland, New Zealand is 46 degrees and partly cloudy. San Francisco, California is 58 and fair with a small craft advisory on the bay and offshore. Chicago, Illinois is 75 degrees and sunny. And New York, New York is 74 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny. And that is weather from around the world, brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world. Jennifer Cinco-Kellerer at the Associated Press World Desk brings us this first amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. A former CIA officer and contract linguist for the FBI who received cash, golf clubs, and other expensive gifts in exchange for spying for China faces a decade in prison if a U.S. judge approves his plea agreement today, Wednesday. Alexander Yuqing Ma, age 71, made a deal in May with federal prosecutors who agreed to recommend the 10-year term in exchange for his guilty plea to a count of conspiracy to gather or deliver national defense information to a foreign government. Sound familiar? The deal also requires him to submit to polygraph tests whenever requested by the U.S. government for the rest of his life. Well, actually, I should mention that's a pretty standard procedure. Without the deal, Ma faced up to life in prison. He is allowed to withdraw from the agreement if Judge Watson rejects the 10-year sentence. Ma was born in Hong Kong, moved to Honolulu in 1968, and became a U.S. citizen in 1975. He joined the CIA in 1982, was assigned overseas the following year, and resigned in 1989. He held a top-secret security clearance, according to court documents. Ma lived and worked in Shanghai, China, before returning to Hawaii in 2001, and at the behest of Chinese intelligence officers, he agreed to arrange an introduction between officers in the Shanghai State Security Bureau and his older brother, who had also served as a CIA case officer. During a 3-day meeting in a Hong Kong hotel room that year, Ma's brother, identified in the plea agreement as co-conspirator 1, provided the intel officers a large volume of classified and sensitive info, according to the document. They were paid $50,000. Prosecutors said they had an hour-long video from the meeting that showed Ma counting the money. 2 years later, Ma applied for a job as a contract linguist in the FBI's Honolulu field office. By then, the Americans knew he was collaborating with the Chinese intelligence officers, and they hired him in 2004 so they could keep an eye on his espionage activities. And over the following 6 years, he regularly copied, photographed, and stole classified documents. He often took them on trips to China, returning with thousands of dollars in cash and expensive gifts, including a new set of golf clubs. Kelvin Chan at the Associated Press World Desk brings us this final amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Google lost its last bid to overturn an EU antitrust penalty after the bloc's top court ruled against it yesterday, Tuesday, in a case that came with a whopping fine and helped jumpstart an era of intensifying scrutiny for big tech companies. The European Union's top court rejected Google's appeal against the $2.7 billion penalty from the European Commission. Also on Tuesday, Apple lost its challenge against an order to repay $14.34 billion in back taxes to Ireland after the European Court of Justice issued a separate decision, siding with the Commission in a case targeting unlawful state aid for global corporations. Both companies have now exhausted their appeals in the cases that date to the previous decade. Well, that brings us to the end of our broadcast period for the day, but you do know Netroots Radio broadcasts on, and we will meet up here tomorrow for Metro Shrimp and Grits Thursdays. So do stay tuned to Netroots Radio all day and all night for all the breaking news as it breaks. And we will meet up here tomorrow, right here in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Appétit.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Robe à fleurs sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, qu'il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël. Je voudrais toujours te plaire dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je veux déjeuner par terre, comme au long de golfe clair, t'embrasser les yeux ouverts dans mon jardin d'hiver. Pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver.